Hey, welcome back for another episode of Conversations with Uncle Ted. Um, this one, I've been asked by a couple people, what advice I have uh, about getting married and about being married. I've got a lot of young friends um, that are either have recently gotten married or are in the process of getting engaged or wanting to propose, and I'm super excited for all of them, and for those who've recently got married, I'm super excited for them too. And I've been married coming up in July to my sweetheart for 26 years, and it's been an amazing 26 years and just such a wonderful adventure and wonderful journey. And so what I thought I'd do is I thought I would share um, 5 things that I've learned along the way. Some of it are some things my dad told me when I first mentioned I was going to propose to my wife, that we were going to get married. And other things I've learned along the way is, as Jenny and I have been married for this long. And some of the things I've seen in the relationships from, my in-laws, who I love and appreciate, and what I saw in my parents' marriage. And so one of the first things actually the very first thing my dad told me was put God first. So number one, you got to put God first. Uh, you had that, your own personal relationship with God, but then make sure that, you put word God into your marriage. It's not just you and your wife, it's you and your wife and God. That's super important. When you remember that, it helps with a lot of the trials and challenges you might face, because you remember that you're working together as a team. And the second one that my dad told me is that she matters most. It comes down to that. Your wife matters most. Her happiness matters most. And you need to take care of her. And what that's going to require is that's going to require sacrifice. Um, there's going to be times that there's things you may want to do that you're going to have to just say no to, because you need to be there for your wife, and later, eventually, when you have kids, you're going to need to be there for them too. So sacrifice is a huge part, but she matters most. That's one of the things for me is, you know, as you've listened to me talk, you know how much I love my creative endeavors, and there's things that I love to do, but that's where my greatest source of happiness is, in supporting Jenny and her creative endeavors and just whatever she needs. That's where my ultimate fulfillment comes from, is from supporting her. And I love her so much, and I love supporting her, and likewise my daughters as well. But the another reason for that sacrifice and just putting her first is, in the world we live in, your wife she's gonna get knocked down by life. And you need to be there to be that support, to listen. You don't always have to solve the problems, but you always need to listen. So just be there for her, because she matters most. The third thing is, when you're at home, be at home. Be there with her. You're gonna have responsibilities for work, for church. You'll have your own things that you're interested in, but when you're there at home, be there at home and help out. Help out at home. Do serve her. The fourth thing, this made me laugh, and my dad just telling me, she's not your mom. So clean up after yourself, cook, do everything. There's a great story, and I'm going to butcher it here probably, but there's a story about Joseph Smith Jr., and there's a guy that he was outside, hitting the rug, and doing some housework and helping his wife Emma. And one of the other gentlemen came up to him and said, essentially, isn't that, you're a prophet of God. You're leading the church. Isn't that kind of beneath you to do that? And he asked the brother how long he'd been married, and he hadn't been married long, and he kind of smiled and chuckled and said, okay, and basically told him that, helping his wife and caring for her was his, one of the most important things. And then I think it was in the movie, I was watching this, later in the movie, Joseph is walking down the road, and what do you see? You see this brother outside, banging the dust out of the rugs, and doing the same thing. So that was just kind of a funny thing. But yeah, that's one of the biggest things you can do, is just remember, she's not your mom. You got to take care of yourself, and you got to just clean. You got to learn how to cook. It's not. It's not your wife's job to wait hand and foot on you. For me, it's my. I think it's our job to wait hand and foot on our wife, to take care of her, and to be there for her. And then number five is grow together. That's super important. You got to grow together. Um, that's yeah, and that's I mentioned I have a lot of friends that are getting married. I'm also noticed a lot of friends that have either gotten remarried or people who've gone through um, divorces. When I hear people talk about divorce, and there's lots of different reasons, but sometimes people just talk about they grew apart and they didn't grow together. So I think growing together is just super, super important. The more you grow together, you keep falling in love over and over again as you grow together. Um, and I know one thing I've noticed is because my wife is an artist, one thing I've started to love even more is art. I've been trying to draw heads every day with her, and I'm I'm a horrible artist. I didn't take any art classes in high school or in college, and so this is like a brand new thing for me. But to do it together and to grow together and to just cheer each other on that way has been super supportive and just has made me feel even that much closer to my wife. So those are my 5 tips for anyone who's thinking about marriage or who just recently got married. Um, I'll recap them here. Put God first. Remember that she matters most, and so make sacrifices for her. 3, when you're at home, be at home. 4, she's not your mom. And 5, grow together. So I think you guys are great. Keep tuning in and just keep letting me know what conversations we need to have.